Hi there, this is Dani. The channel's You and Me Living Free, and we are exploring Canyon de Chelly today. Before we do that, I'm going to talk to you about the campground and about some other random things before we get this started. I camped at Cottonwood Campground, which is there on the grounds, and it was delightful. The people were very nice. There were no showers or laundry, but there were toilets and there was trash, and the people were so nice and they kept it very well maintained. The bathrooms were extremely clean. The trash was picked up every day. This place is really cared for and it shows. I loved it. It was only $14 a night. I stayed actually 3 nights because the first couple days I was there was a wind advisory and I really didn't want to get out much, so I picked this spot where I'm nestled in the trees and in kind of the middle of the campground, and it really served me well. I was kind of snug as a bug in a rug. Good morning. It might not be morning for you, but that's why I'm lying in bed, because it's morning for me. I'm trying to get out of bed this morning, but here's the situation. I'm at a campground, but there is a cold spell coming through. Normally the temperatures are 15 or so degrees warmer than they are right now. So it is 30 degrees now. The high yesterday was only 44, but it was cloudy and there was a wind advisory, so the wind chill was 33 in the afternoon for the high all day yesterday. So I stayed in the van all day yesterday pretty much. Today I'm ready to go exploring the mountain, the canyon, because the sun is out and the wind advisory is gone. I'm so excited. But my bed is so comfy and so awesome, and it's so cold out there that I have been more content so far to stay in bed than I have to get up and get out into this beautiful day. But it's about 8:30. It's definitely time to get up, and I am definitely ready for some breakfast and some heat and to go exploring. So let's get this day started. All right, so here's breakfast. An orange and a breakfast burrito. Made the breakfast burritos in advance, you know, like I do. And if you've been watching me a while, you know I love a breakfast burrito, right? I mean, I think I've either mentioned or made or cried over breakfast burritos 2 or 3 times in my other videos. So here's breakfast. It ends up with a burrito and the orange all cut up and split. Very nice. Yum. Oh, just a quick note from the back of the van as I'm finishing breakfast. I always want to know how people, when they do these van tours, so many vans have the kitchens in the back. And what I want to know is, how does that work? What if you're in an area that has a ton of, let's say, black flies or mosquitoes? What if you're in biting flies, not black flies? I don't know why I call them black flies. Anyway, biting flies or mosquitoes. What if it's 30 degrees outside? I see all these van designs with the kitchens in the back. I'm like, oh, it'd be so nice to have everything in one place, because when I go to cook, it's kind of a mess. I've got my food in the back. I've got to pull out my stove and it goes in the middle, and then I've got my cooler in the front. And I kind of have to think it through, and I just gather everything and then I cook. It's not that big of a deal though, because half the things in the van aren't easy, that you just try to make them as easy as possible. But I'm like, what do you do when your kitchen is in the back, when all of your access to your food, when your access to your cooking and everything is only out the back and it's freezing cold? Do you go out the back and actually cook and then try to bring it in before it gets frozen? Or do you have part of your stove that you can bring, part of your kitchen that you can bring in? Or do you just eat something cold? But of course, on a cold day, what's the one thing you want? You want something warm, right, to eat. But anyway, I've never put the kitchen in the back, and this is part of the reason, because I could never figure this out. So if you know someone, or if you do this, then let me know in the comments if you think it works, and like what you do, because I am so genuinely curious. Anyway. Sooner or later, we are going to get to the canyon today, so stick around for that. Okay, here we are. We made it. I told you we'd make it to the canyon, and here we are, going down some stone steps. all kinds of places they have stone steps, or they have these enormous boulders that they cut the steps into so that you can have access to these lookouts. And boy, when anything is in shadow, it doesn't show up very well at all. And that's cool. I get it. I tried to do my best with showing you some stuff that was in the light. And so hopefully you'll just get a taste of this place. I'm telling you, it was magnificent and I was in tears. And part of the reason I was in tears, though, honestly, is because I was here on Indigenous Peoples Day. And I was really thinking a lot about, these natives and indigenous people who were here long before we were. And of course, what we did to them. And it's not a very attractive part of our history, but it's also worthwhile to, I'm just starting to educate myself about a lot of these things. And it's worthwhile. So I was crying because of the beauty. And I was crying because this is a gorgeous place. And actually, this is part of the Colorado River Basin, I think. And there has been longer continuous life in these valleys than in anywhere else. And they do farming, and they have continuously for like 5,000 years, people have been. And I thought that was fascinating. But here's what you do a lot is you walk across these great big boulders to get to overlooks. And it's like nothing else. There were a couple of places in Utah where you'd walk out on a big kind of boulder to see. Look at that. Where you'd walk out on a big boulder. Here, I love these signs. You see them everywhere. Caution, sheer cliffs, control children and pets. And then there's another one. Warning, people farming below, do not throw objects into canyon. I mean, there are some signs that you should not even need to post. Can you imagine someone having the desire to see something this beautiful, coming and then throwing something over the side? Like, those two things don't really go together for me, but that made me kind of sad. Enough sadness, though. This place was far too beautiful to remain sad for long. I was walking out on these boulders. You know, if you've been here, that I have this fear of heights. I walked so slow and I was so sure of every step. And sometimes I wasn't even looking through the camera. I was like holding out the camera and just holding on to the ledge. But it was so beautiful, and I did feel good that it felt so solid. And I think that this is Mummy Cave ruin. Yes. So in there you can see, in this great big one that I'm going to show, where is it? There was actually, I don't remember which one it was, but there was actually a house, a building structure that you could see with the naked eye, but because of the shadows, you couldn't see on the pictures. But this is one of those places on the mesa where they lived in these, in the sides of the canyon sometimes, at some point in history. Oh, see, there you can see just a little bit. You can kind of make out a little bit of the building. They lived in it, or they would store things. They would store, their grains and their supplies. They would use it for like warehouses, and then they'd kind of add on structures, I think. But, different tribes, different peoples have lived there during different periods of history. So it's a very multi-layered, rich history. Here's one of the little trails I walked up to get to the overlook. And I'm just showing here how I really have to pay attention. And don't worry, because I'm holding the camera out, but I am looking where I'm going, trust me. Because you saw that big drop-off just to the left. Now I'm at an overlook, but just a few seconds ago, you saw that drop-off to the left, and I would not be not paying attention. Like, I am hypersensitive anytime I am near somewhere high where there's a potential drop-off, and I want to make sure I'm completely sure-footed. I'm actually very good about that and very safe. You can see the roads down at the bottom of the canyon. There are people who live down there. There are people who farm down there right now during these times, right now during current day. And so how very cool would that be to live down there? And in some of the videos, you'll see better pictures, and you can even see houses and crops and things like that. So we'll get to that. Look at these structures, though, of just the rock and how gorgeous. I was truly in awe. Just truly. I love this place. Okay, I'm on my way to an overlook. This is over to my left. You can see this is the trail to the overlook. That is literally on the left. Like, you can see some treetops, but after that, it is a huge drop off. I was like, there's no way I'm taking that way. And then a little further to the right, I saw that path between those two trees, and I thought, okay, that's the path for me. Not over there right so close to the drop off. But we aren't even at the lookout yet, and you can see how gorgeous that was. Here we are. And a lot of these places, a lot of each canyon sometimes would have 2 or 3 different overlook sites. So you would walk to one and then you would find a trail, or you might happen to see some people who were over on the other side who would tell you, oh, there's another overlook. Here again, the structure of these sandstone mountains, or this canyon of sandstone, is that naturally these caves come out, these places where, you know, the wind or whatever will crumble the rock, and so you end up with these spaces. There were definitely structures back in there, but you can't go back and walk on trails or anything without a guide, without special guidance and someone leading you, because it's got to be so dangerous. I can't even imagine. There are some places that you can usually go to. There's one trail in particular, the White House Trail, where you can go on your own, but it happened to be closed when I was there, so I did not get to go on it. It said it was closed because of safety concerns. It was kind of vague, but anyway, you get the gist. So I think I was just showing you here some of the steps that you have to look for and how gorgeously they were kind of integrated with the scenery and how it was so natural and everything. It was really beautiful the way they did it. It was also quite a climb for me. A lot of these things were. Here I'm kind of showing you again, to the right is this enormous drop off, and here is the path. Here are the steps to go up. I have a rule. I have agreed to myself and to my kids that I do not go next to big ledges. I do not get any closer than about 6 feet to the edge, because I figure even if I'm really klutzy and fall over, I still won't fall completely off the edge. And they do worry about me a little bit being out on the road, and hey, I'm very cautious, so that might have been a tiny bit less than 6 feet, but it was very close. Anyway, you're at the end of another video. You made it. You deserve a medal, and I am sending you all the love right now. Thank you so much. Catch you next time. Okay, another thought while I'm eating is, so my breakfast burrito this morning was made yesterday. I usually batch them, and I'll make like 6 eggs and a bunch of onions, some diced ham or some bacon, and a little bit of cheese. That's usually what goes in, because those ingredients are all easy to carry. And I put it in a tortilla, and then I make 3 of them, and then I have breakfast for 3 days. And here's something. When I'm at home, everything just goes into the microwave. But I'm kind of amazed when I'm warming up food. I'm like, it's so much better if I just put it in a pan. Like, I stay at Cracker Barrels a lot. And so whenever I stay there, or at least every other time I stay there, I try to eat there, because I want to support them in doing what they're doing, because I appreciate it so much. So they have this dinner with these 2 big chicken breasts, and they're deep fried, but they're 2 big chicken breasts, and they have like those little corn muffins and 2 sides with it. And when you put stuff in the pan to warm it up instead of the microwave, it is so much better. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Excuse me. Maybe I'll try to cut that out in editing. Or maybe I'll just leave it in, because I'm a dork and that's just part of my charm. Anyway, but I just put a tiny bit of butter in the bottom of the pan, and then warm up that breakfast burrito. And it actually, if you put too much butter, it gets greasy and you don't want to touch it. But if you put the right amount of butter, just a tiny bit, like even half a pat, not even, and then you turn it over, it gets crispy on the outside. So it's like warm on the inside, and the tortilla gets crispy on the outside, has a little bit of a crisp to it. It's so good. And that dinner that I get from Cracker Barrel is so good. And those corn muffins, just with a tiny bit of butter in the bottom of the pan, and I split the corn muffin and turn it upside down, and It is so delicious. So I think maybe even when I get home, maybe I'll take the time to warm things up in a pan instead of always throwing it in the microwave. Anyway, just another random thought. Plus, I need a knife sharpener because as I'm cutting up this orange this morning, as soon as I finished eating, I'm like, okay, I need to cut up like 3 more oranges, because whenever I think about eating an orange, I'm like, oh, it's such a pain though. And I'm going to get my hands are going to get all juicy and all sticky and sweet. And so I'll cut like 3 or 4 at a time, and then I have just them in baggies in the fridge so that I can eat them anytime I want. But I need to bring a knife sharpener. My little knife is dull already. Well, I was trying to cut up my oranges.